All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you here at the Brewerton Diner. Just filled up on one of the most amazing entrees you can get here at the Brewerton Diner. It's called the Country Bumpkin, and what it is, it's a big patty sausage, home fries, and slathered over with bacon gravy. You get toast with it. You can add an egg to it if you'd like. It is delicious. Make sure you come here to the Brewerton Diner and try that. Again, it's called the Country Bumpkin. You can get it in hash form, or you can get it in an omelet form as well. Their lunch right around the corner here today, as things are really picking up. Hero, grilled cheese, Philly steak, Reuben, you name it. Get it all at the Brewerton Diner. And while you're here, sign up for the savings program, sign up for the Syracuse basketball ticket giveaways, and much, much more. All right, today, big day in the ACC, big day in college basketball. Before I get to Georgia Tech and Syracuse tonight, which is a 6 o'clock tip, I want to talk Duke, Florida State, because this is always a very, very difficult game for the Duke Blue Devils down in Tallahassee. For some reason or another, Florida State's defense gets to Duke. It doesn't matter who, what last name is on the back of those jerseys. Florida State always gives Duke a heck of a lot of trouble down in Tallahassee. You've seen over the last 10, 15 years, Florida State pull multiple upsets down there against Duke. So, look for a very tight game today. I think Duke probably wins this game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I'll go 82-78, but definitely be on the lookout for Florida State playing that unbelievably in-your-face defense. And the other thing with Florida State, too, is they just have so many athletes, and they can jump through the gym, they can run up and down the floor, they attack the rim. But here's the difference. Florida State sometimes lacks a little bit from a fundamental standpoint, and we've seen that in the tournament. Some of the teams Leonard Hamilton has had the last couple of years, you'd think maybe could make a Final Four, but something happens in the tournament. There's a discipline type of a thing. They turn the basketball over multiple times. So this is going to be a game that I think is must watch, though, because Duke, again, historically struggles down in Tallahassee against Florida State. You got a lot of star power in this game. You got a lot of NBA, just raw NBA talent, and also some top-notch NBA talent. When you go from Cam Reddish to R.J. Barrett to Zion Williamson of Duke, you look at Trey Jones, the point guard, who's been the tone setter for the Blue Devils, and then you look on the other side in Florida State, everywhere you look, 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 7 foot, 7'4", 268 pounds if you're Chris Kamaji. So, and Phil Kofer, I think, is still one of the more underrated players in the ACC, a 6'8" swing guy who can get up and down the floor. He can shoot outside. Don't leave him open, because if he hits a couple early, he can get hot, and that could be the key for Florida State here today. And don't forget about Kabengele, too, who's just an absolute freak athlete. Florida State's got a lot of them, and Duke is going to counter with their tremendous trio of freshmen. So I will take Duke close in this game, but I can't wait to watch it. I'm always intrigued when Duke is at Florida State, and we'll see if Florida State can pull off another magical game. All right, let's get to Georgia Tech, Syracuse. This game's a 6 o'clock tip time at the Carrier Dome. This Georgia Tech team, despite the fact that they're 9-6, just a few games over 500, this team is a lot better, in my opinion, than what the record shows. You look at Georgia Tech going all the way back to December 1st. They played in that Hoop Hall Classic. Remember, Syracuse played in that against Kansas recently. They lost to St. John's by 3 points. That game, towards the end, the last couple of minutes, one possession here, one possession there. That was all pretty much it was. It was nip and tuck the entire way. And St. John's, last I checked, having a pretty good year. They were ranked just recently, almost beat Villanova. Could have beaten Villanova coming down to the last possession. You look at the Seton Hall call; they got robbed on that call, and they've been ranked. And the kid Shimori Pons is just an absolute talent through the roof. And they got a couple other big time role players. But St. John's a tournament team, and Georgia Tech almost beat them. They won at Arkansas. I had Mike Waters of Syracuse.com and Post Standard Syracuse men's basketball beat man on my podcast yesterday. You can go listen to that via Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. But Mike said, look, Arkansas, nobody's going to confuse him with, Duke, Kentucky, or Kansas. But you know what? It's Arkansas on the road. That's one of the tougher venues to play in the SEC. Georgia Tech went there. They handled business. They also lost barely in ACC play to Virginia Tech just recently on January 9th. Again, I just think this Georgia Tech team is a team you can't take lightly. They've got a bunch of guys who are just rugged ball players, lunch pail guys. They rebound the ball pretty well. They get after it. And so I would look at Georgia Tech from a physicality standpoint. Syracuse has got to match that today. That's one of the keys for the Orange. I think the second key is going to be the offense. It's always the offense. They've showed some flashes of the offense lately, despite only scoring 61 against Clemson and in other spots. Still slowing the ball, slowing the tempo down, bringing the basketball up the floor a little slower. I'd like to see Syracuse push it a little bit more, especially against a team today that's going to bring a little bit more of that physicality, a little bit more of that defensive mentality, a little bit more of that backyard brawl mentality to the Carrier Dome. I'd like to see Syracuse go up and control tempo, and I would say that that's the third key, is tempo in this game. Tempo, offense, and I think, at the end of the collective day, Georgia Tech is a lot better than people give them credit for. I think this team is a lot better. 3 games over 500. This feels to me more like a 3 or 4 loss team, but they've played a pretty tough schedule. They've lost a couple of games here. Close. Virginia Tech's a tournament team. Virginia Tech's a Sweet 16 contender. St. John's is a Sweet 16 contender. And Georgia Tech lost to those 2 teams by a 6-point combined total. So physicality, match it, tempo, and offense, I think for Syracuse, the 3 keys. I think for Georgia Tech, the 3 keys today easily. Number 1, I think tempo as well. I think if they can sort of make Syracuse take terrible shots and battle a little bit in terms of the flow of the game, I think they'll have a very good shot. I think number 2 is always knowing, of course, where your backcourt is, and I think in the case of Syracuse, Frank Howard continues to hopefully get healthy. Georgia Tech's got to know where Carey is, where Howard is, where Battle is in the backcourt, because that is really one area that Georgia Tech does kind of lose it a little bit, out on the perimeter. So if Syracuse can make some shots, they can win this game, no question. I think for Georgia Tech, it's just the obvious, it's road warrior mentality. Be in the game late or lead the game late, and that will cause the crowd to go way down. So I would expect Syracuse to win today. This is a game that they need to win. It's a game that they need to stay focused on, because this Monday they're playing at Duke, the best team in the country. And so Syracuse has got to win this game today. If they start 3-0 in the ACC, even if you lose against Duke on Monday, the couple games after that, Pittsburgh, Miami, you've got a real legit shot to start 5-1 in the ACC and kind of make people forget a little bit more about the Old Dominion loss at home. So looking forward to this one. I'm going to take Syracuse in a close game, nip and tuck, 64-60 today at the Carrier Dome. So be on the lookout today for all the college basketball, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, highlighting, in my opinion, the ACC schedule. All right, make sure you get down here to the Brewerton Diner. I just had the country bumpkin. It was amazing, with the patty sausage, the hash browns, the bacon gravy slathered over it, toast as well, and I added a scrambled egg. You can get that. You can get the Brewerton Benedict with the bacon gravy. You can get the hash entrees, the omelets, the omelets. Get down here. The place is amazing. Great ambiance, couple of TVs in the corners, or you can pop over for lunch as well. So get down to the Brewerton Diner here, just off Bartell Road in Brewerton. I'm Mike Lindsley. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. This is 9 Minutes with me on IGTV, YouTube, and Facebook. My podcast is on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Just download the ML Sports Platter where your podcasts are found on your smartphone device. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.